And we talked about this. I think you talked about this earlier, off the podcast, Miss Camara, about home ownership and how home ownership is can be a changing force in Allendale, Lakeside, and Ledbetter Heights. Do you mind going over that again?
We do believe that that is a very critical piece. One of the reasons behind the decline in the population in the Allendale community, of course, had to do with them tearing down the Naomi Jackson Heights apartments. And we know that that project had a lot of families that were over there, and homes were promised to be built in this area so that those people could come back. They wanted to reside in Allendale. And so the promise was made that those people could come back. Well, they did all kind of other little uh I don't know what I don't want to really speak to it because I hadn't done the research on those homes where they lease them for a certain period of time. Then they get the opportunity to buy them. But I know in the other communities where those homes were built, the elected officials and the other homeowners and stuff didn't like them being there. But speaking to the homeowner piece, and I spoke earlier to the choice neighborhood, where the intent, what I indicated about all of the properties that the city owns over here, the adjudicated properties, they've kind of cordoned off a 4x4 block. I know from Abbey Street over to Logan, from Sycamore, Pier Avenue, all of that is supposed to be what's called Heritage Place. They're supposed to be building new homes. I don't want those new homes to start being built and people just moving. I mean, I'm wanting people who already live over here, people who are struggling to pay rent, us work with them to get their ability to be a homeowner in place so that when the opportunity presents itself, they can walk in as a homeowner and they never left their
Yes.
community. They got whatever they needed
Yeah.
in the community. We linked arms to help strengthen the people that live over here. So there, yes, sir. I mean, I just know that there are a lot of designs. And again, I am a policy person. There are a lot of invisible structures that are in place, system processes that are in place to disenfranchise the residents of Allendale, to get them
Allendale.
out of
Yeah.
here so that they could come in and then
Yes.
have this, this lush oasis that right now is a desert, right, Miss Wiley?
Yep. Right. And what I also understand what you spoke on is I wasn't living here, but what I heard is that when they tore down Jackson Heights projects, that uh, when they built up, even the apartments that are over there, that they would have the opportunity to come back in, or when they built homes. I know some of the people who live over here now, when they start building homes for the Katrina evacuees, then they start offering home ownership for people who live here in Shreveport. But what I haven't seen is that the promise that when we get something, we'll make sure that you all be the first to come in and have some type of home ownership, or you'll be brought back to Allendale or Lakeside, so that has not been done. And, just to promise people that, and to look and say, well, where are these people, that they promised this to? Even just like, again, in the article, I think that was Versa Clark was saying, I wouldn't be for this if people were left out in the cold, bringing this freeway through. Well, you know what? You don't have to look at us being left out in the cold. Just look back and say, what happened to the people when I-20 came? They're still out in the cold. You haven't done anything to bring them in. So, you think that you would just look and say, you know what, this is not right. This is not going to happen because it's already happened, So history repeats itself.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So, and Miss Ella, I mean, you know, with your organization over in Allendale, and with the arts being something that, as an African American, you know, we perk up at art, we perk up at music, we perk up just at beauty, and that's kind of
Yes.
one of the things that in a community that does not have um a lot of beautiful things. We have a lot of dilapidated homes, overgrown lots. um Having something beautiful to look at, it would just perk up anybody's, idea of the neighborhood. How
Yes,
you feel about that?
that's exactly what our house on Anna Street does. People come through from in the neighborhood. They love it. It's beautiful. It's a different thing. It's right by Booker T. Washington. And people are starting to change their houses. They're doing things to improve. All we need is examples. We have no sidewalks. We have no street lights. We have nothing, but here we got organizations that's getting from the parish and the city millions of dollars to do a park when they have 80 parks that the city is trying to have nonprofits adopt. I mean, but it doesn't make sense, like I said, everybody wakes up every day, it's Groundhog Day. You walk out on your front porch, there's no sidewalks, there's no street lights. Well, what does that do to you as a person? It makes you feel like nothing. You stop thinking about it and you just start accepting it. And that's what's happened over in Allendale. Our people have started accepting the situation and the circumstances. And what
Yeah.
we want to do is add some beauty. We're having a hard time even, trying to get places to do murals with all those abandoned buildings. The city is still, they go to somebody, so whoever is a young European that they put in charge of Allendale and all the arts. They put in bike trails with art on it. I've never heard anybody come around and ask any of us what we want to see. What is it that we would like to see on these murals and on these bike trails? We're left out.
Yeah.
And we've been,
And you know what,
promoters
Miss
been there
Jamila,
for 30
even
years.
and even if they did come into the community and ask you what you wanted, you can write it down and tell them what you want, and they'll do exactly what they want to do with it and say it. This is what they want, and it's a
Yes,
lie.
it's a
Because I've
lie.
seen it. We've done that. They've been in our community, to ask us community development. What do you want to see in your community? We draw pictures, write it out, and when we look up, the money is gone somewhere else doing other things.
Right.
So
And if I could add, Mr. Bryant, to what Miss Dorothy just said, and Miss Jamila is a witness, because on that choice neighborhood piece, they did those community assessments and meetings for, I know, 2 years, right, Miss Jamila?
Years.
They had
Yes.
our ideas, everything, all of our visions about what we saw, what we thought, what we needed, what we wanted. And we put it together. They came back and gave us what we said. We said we was in agreement. We were so happy. When they came out finally to what they were going to do, they completely left the people in Allendale out. All these other folks, like Miss Jamila said, was a part of that packet, and they were nowhere in it. But they wound up benefiting, getting jobs, money, buildings, and everything else for Choice Neighborhood. But the rest of the people that was over here, the people that attended the meetings, the people that gave all the information about our desires, our hopes, our dreams, what we wanted to see, we didn't get anything. And what Miss Dorothy was saying earlier, our elected leader, our elected council person, Willie Bradford, that man was in the way. He was making sure that the residents didn't get nothing because he was blocking everything. He blocked it. Miss Jamila is right. That department, community development. Now that was you, Miss Jamila. I'm sorry, Miss Wiley was saying about the Department of Community Development. Okay,
right.
of course, those people work for the city. The city works in concert. It is incorporated to provide the infrastructure, okay, to stimulate commerce, right, and business. So if the business community in the city is 850 million and the city itself is only 250 million, When it comes to the mayor sitting at the table with the business community, who do you think gonna get what they want? The business community or the real resident? I think the business community gonna get what they want,
Yes.
and that's what's been happening. The residents are left out, and the people who are elected to represent the citizenry, they get bought and paid off, and so they go the way of big business.
And you know what? Even with that being said, I can now understand why some of the residents, they don't fight or don't want to have a voice again, because they've had that voice, but it was ignored.
Ignored.
You know,
Yes.
it was just totally disrespected. And I've heard people say out of their mouth, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. So why should we say anything?
Yes.
I mean, it's sad that, you know, people are being shut down just because the powers to be or people who have money or the business communities can come in and say, we're, you know, make it put in our heads, well, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. But no, we're not going to shut up.
No.
We're women. We're going to keep on with this fight, with this struggle, you know. And that's the one thing that I wanted to say, even with our, and Roosevelt, I hope that I'm not jumping ahead, but why it's in my heart, you know, I just wanted to acknowledge our ancestors who fought, who struggled, who rebelled and loved and died for us. They made us. They didn't create us, but they made us. Just like we're making a way for our futuristic generations that they can have, and that they can have a voice. So I believe that some of our strength and our tenacity, it comes from those ancestors who fought for us, you know, who loved us enough, who died for us to say, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to continue to do this. But I also believe that my love for God gave me even more tenacity or tenaciousness and strength, you know, because in this day and age, we already know that it's not always easy to love. Even back then, it wasn't what our ancestors went through, but as they prayed and praised and sang and even danced their way through some of these trials and tribulations that they faced, you know, it reminds me, just like I say, there's nothing new under the sun. Once it's been said or done, it's already old. And what has been, it will be again. And what has been done, it will be done again. So it's just a different day. We're just in a different time. We still got to fight the good fight of faith, you know. And again, like I say, because of my love for God, I'm just reminded that love bears up under everything and anything. It believes all things, hopes all things. It endures all things. So, you know, that's why women historically can make great changes in the city because of our patience and our endurance. We don't stop. I mean, we might get tired, you know, but it's our endurance that keeps us going. It's our patience because, you know what, we know generations are coming behind us and we want them to have more than we had, just like our ancestors did.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that a city that does not take care of their women, a city that women cannot thrive. I'm not saying just survive. I mean, if the structure is not there for women to thrive, the city would not thrive, right? Because, you know, women all through history, all the way from to Africa, right? I love reading stories about women in Africa that fought the Romans, women in Africa that fought the Portuguese, women in Africa that started the revolution of independence in Nigeria. right? Women in Africa that fought Winnie Mandela, right? That fought while her husband was put away in prison. She was out
Right.
there fighting a good fight, right? Women that
Yes.
represented the the Black Panther Party and here in America and over in the UK. You know, all of these women and women for as long as we can remember in time have been persecuted by men. And I'm be 100% real with you. Am I a saint? When I was a young man, have I done things that I taught that I was taught by other men to treat women in certain ways? Yeah, you know, music and movies and books and my examples of other men. But women has always persevered. Women have always fought and
Mhm.
you know, every time you see a woman and out there, she's looking out for her child, her young, and her man.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the city of Shreveport needs to make sure that the women in our neighborhoods and our cities are taken care of. Because when you take care of women, and especially Black women, when you take care of Black women, everybody else is taken care of. The white
Yep.
man be taken care of. The Black man be taken care of. The Asian woman. When you take care of Black
Hallelujah.
women,
Hallelujah.
everybody will be taken care of.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put that out there and go ahead and jump on. I see you want to say something, Miss Camara.
Well, yes, sir. You are I'm just happy to hear you say that about women, that if they take
Mhm.
care of them, all will be well. Because I remember in the book of Esther, the woman, she was called to be a sacrifice for her people. And so whatever it meant, if it meant going up against the king, breaking his rules, whatever the traditions and histories were, she was willing to do that. I'm saying in the city of Shreveport, my encounter both with African men, Black men, I'm saying, as well as Anglo Saxons, they got ego problems. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They have ego that gets in the way of being able to move forward, because the man may feel like a woman don't know nothing, or she don't know enough. But that is so contrary, because I've worked with men all the time, and I'm always offering up my ideas, my suggestions, my recommendations. That's why mine come from heaven. I hear from heaven. And so they still go their way. I can't get mad or upset. I'm still working with them. But guess what? They find I come back. You were right. You was right. So I'm just saying, men have that. I work with a Caucasian man as well. He believes in me. He wants my help, my work, or whatever. So we had an encounter. We were at a meeting. So I had questions. It was not with him. It was the other people we were meeting with. So I asked a question, and he shut me down. He said, "I know what you're gonna." And so after the end of the meeting, I told him to say something. If you want me with you, if you want me at the table with you, working with you can't shut me down. Because otherwise I don't need to be there. So anyway, it is sometimes ego about how they don't care for or look after the women. They feel like the women are just gonna be there. It's like women never get tired. Women get tired, but guess what? We diehards though. We love,
Yes.
and it's hard for us to quit, especially when we know we're doing something for righteousness, for the right thing.
Yes.
If we're
Yes.
standing up for the right thing to be done, then women are uh we got stick to it, Tiffany. Let's put it like that. We don't stop if we know it's right.
Right. And that's what,
To say we're talking about for posterity. We're talking about for the future people. We don't, our son, it hasn't set, but we would such a time as this, we're at the table fighting.
That's right.
But it's for the other folks.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, coming behind us. We may not
right.
experience it. You know, Moses and those old people didn't get there. Was Joshua and Caleb, the young folks got to go experience it. All right, that's it.
That's all right. Go on, preach, girl. That's what I'm talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? But really, that's what our ancestors did for us. I mean, like I say, the fight, the struggle, you know, they loved, they knew how to love, you know, and they were making a way for us. And if we can remember, like I say, that's where some of our strength comes from. That's
Yeah.
where some of our tenacity comes from, you know. So again, like I say, you know, we endure. That's
Yes.
what we do. We endure. We have patience. And even when my patience run out, I know to look to the hills from where my strength comes from. I know that. But you know what? I was taught that through my ancestry. And it came
Yes.
from generation on down. So that is in me. So even as I'm saying, I still look at that for the generations that are coming behind us, because that's something that they can build on, or something that they can step on our necks and get a push off and just have that strength and that tenacity. So, you know, I love helping people. I really do,
Me
you
too.
know. And the
Mhm.
thing about it, again, we know how to endure. We have patience, you know. So that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to acknowledge our ancestors, you know. Thank you, my ancestors, for allowing me, like I say, to step on your shoulders or whatever, to get a push off, a jump off, you know, so that I can start doing what needed to be done. And again, you know, just my love for God and how I hear him speak to me. I know y'all hear me talk about God all the time. And I know some of them probably, here she go talking about God. Okay, I am. So,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you got religion is the 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 faith, the hope, the part of you that comes out, right? Religion helps, I think, give it a foundation, right? That's what religion does for a lot of people. Whatever religion you're a part of, you know, Islam, Judaism, you know, Christianity, you know, what you know, Buddhist, you know, Taoism. Religion gives you a foundation to have faith and hope, and faith and hope is what helps us wake up every day and put that one foot in front of the other, right? Now,
yes.
I want to come to Miss Elamine, and as an artist and as a woman in the city of Shreveport, what constraints do you feel there is in the city of Shreveport?
Well, even with the Pomoja, the original founders and members of Pomoja, they were always about men. That there's nothing that you see any woman have done in this city. We've seen some few murals that Black artists have done, but they've always been men. You know, it's like we can't do anything. And me, as far as I'm not a good spokesperson, but I'm a great example of how to do everything, because we cleaned up a whole little strip mall, Pomoja, down on Linwood. We have put everything we can to be an example of what can happen, you know, and then to be disappointed when nothing happens. You know, nobody sees the work or the effort or reason or why, you know, they just pass by us. We are the best kept secret in Shreveport. And it's because of the organizations that are in power, like Shreveport Regional Arts Association. They take all of our ideas. You know, now Pomoja is mostly women. You know, we're women artists. We were women who are doing things. I've put so much energy and effort into that house on Anna Street. It's not just talking about it or saying it, hands on, down, grub low. You know, I'm a doer. I make things happen, you know, so I don't talk about it, I make it happen, you know. So same thing on Linwood, same thing in Allendale. And it makes us very proud. As a woman, I feel great because, like I said, most of us now in Pomoja are women. The men have fell by the wayside. So we have picked up the banner and we're running with it.
Yeah,
That's because they don't have any endurance or patience.
Yeah.
hey,
But
hey,
you know what? But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something, Jamila. That was my first time being in the Pomoja house on Linwood the day we had the meeting. And when I walked in there, I just started looking at the art, the space, what was done. I'm like, wow, I had seen that, but I had never been in. I didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh my God. I'm just like, you're right. It's the best kept secret, but we're getting ready to put this thing out there because I was even thinking about, like, oh, we can have some meetings up in here. And then when I
Yes.
went through the doors and you have a little like cafe
Kitchen.
back there.
Yes.
That thing is so awesome.
Yes.
And I still have to get by Anna Street and just check it out for real. I mean, I'm
Yes.
here. I've been here for 15 or 16 years just from Hurricane Katrina, and I got to get by to check some things out. As a matter of fact, me and Najuri, she's going to take me on a tour of things that I
Yes.
haven't seen in Shreveport.
Okay. Yeah, because we've been here and we've been doing a lot of things. And like I said, it's all been community. Most of it's been done by me, my husband, and a few friends, and a little money coming from the city, $6,000 a year from the NIP project. It's taken us 20 years to get where we are with that house on Anna Street. And it's been done all by us. We haven't had any money to hire people. We have to do it ourselves. It's the community has been helping, but it's taken 20 years. And the place on Linwood, everything has gone, and I have put the tile on the floor, painting, and everything else in that place to make it what it is now.
It's really nice. I mean, job well done, for real.
Thank you.
Oh, I
Yes.
definitely got to check it out. I got to go by and check it out. I actually have a friend of mine that stays back there by you, George Washington. I don't know if he's stopped by there yet, but I'm gonna ask her, has he stopped by? I'm gonna hit him up and say, hey man, have you been by there yet? You need to go, right?
Right. It's right there by the crime lab, Pomoja Cultural Arts Center.
Okay.
And it's been there.
Yeah, we had Miss Jamila and we had made a plan about Pomoja, about Pier Avenue. Pier Avenue turns into Linwood. It runs all the way to DeSoto. So we were saying it was a major artery to come from the north, which is Allendale, where Pomoja's executive headquarters is, and it's drive straight across the bridge down in the mid-tech area, biotech area near LSU Oshner, right by the crime lab, and there you have, Pomoja. And we wanted it to be the center of influence where Blacks would come and have meetings, Miss Wiley. That was exactly, we wanted that space to be, and it would be outside of the different religious beliefs, but rather we would come together around our cultural,
And what we have in common.
culture that we have in common. But as we shared too, that model that Miss Jamila, and I witnessed this lady on hands and knees laying tile and stuff. But what we presented, that model, they now have it downtown at what's called Art Space, but it was originally over there at Pomoja Cultural Arts Center.
Right.
That was the model for it.
They visited our facility on Linwood. It was the ballet, the symphony, Shrek, downtown development. And then next thing you knew, they had Art Space.
Well, and I would say, let me say this, and I think we talked about it in the last podcast, Ms. Dorothy. People that can execute usually don't have ideas.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And ideas are rare. Good ideas are rare. Creative ideas are even rare. Right. And when a person like me, I tell everybody I'm an ideas person. Right. I have millions of ideas going through my head. Right. My problem has always been the execution of the ideas. It's taking it from up here, putting it on paper, and then getting it done. And that has always been a crutch of mine that I know that I have as, you know, as a man. And a lot of times, people look at other people that have ideas like you, Mr. L. I mean, you know, you guys had the idea, and what they had was the resources.
Yes.
To get it done like
Just
that.
like that.
Right.
Yes.
And what we need to, you know, as the organization piece, and I see this a lot here in Atlanta, is where finally here in the Atlanta area, you see the ideas meet with the resources. You know, that I always say that that's one, probably you go out to LA, you go to Atlanta, you go to Chicago, right? You go to Philadelphia, all these places. The key is when the idea meets the resource person.
Yes. Yes.
And it just, you just like, man, that's, I don't know, wow. You know, people call Atlanta what's that fiction, Black Panther,
Wakanda.
yeah, Wakanda, right? I say, you know, they always say, oh, it's Wakanda. No, it's where the idea of Black people has finally met somewhere where Black people have the resources
yes,
to make it happen. And I always believe that that's the only thing that is missing from Shreveport is the full totality of the Black people with resources that are willing to actually use them for the people in the neighborhoods they stay in, for the people that we share cultural similarities with. Right?
Yeah.
There are Black people, there's some Black people in Shreveport that have some money, have some resources.
We do know that, Mr. Roosevelt, but we shared earlier the political climate has been to keep people separated and divided.
Yeah.
People we don't trust one another. We won't work with each other. You heard me say about so many cheese and little Indians. I mean, all of the cheese and not enough Indians. But you also heard me say about this partnership where we're going to do in April this community social. And it's pulling together the people, the Anglo-Saxons, European, Caucasian, who have resources. They want to help us. And so we've agreed to partnership and do this because they're not looking for anything out of it other than to help and for our community to unify. So that's why it's a unity social. That's a justice and unity social. So you're correct. It's just that we as a people, there are those of us that have resources, but we don't trust the other people. So we keep ourselves divided. But like Miss Dorothy say, folks say, you got them other people coming in here. If the other people have resources, they have what you need, why would you turn them away?
Yeah.
And whether their resources are monetary or informative information, I mean, they're teaching us something, and it's just like they don't want them in here because they know that we're learning, you know, and now that we are a learning, I always say this, and doing community, it's just like they got that knowledge. They don't want us to have that knowledge, but we have it, you know, and we don't have a problem putting it out there, you know. Like I say again, you know, he and I'm talking about Willie Bradford, how he put out about how I-49 helped Bert Coons, and you know, but he ain't never mentioned how I-20 came through here and separated and divided and put downtown back in a striving, mode, now they're trying to build it up and, but again, I'm going to say this. I want y'all to hear this. Gentrification is going to set in, okay?
Oh,
Don't y'all sell y'all property, but because the ones who don't know about this or who think they're going to sell their property because of this freeway, like I say, if this freeway does come through, it'll be 40 years down the line somewhere. You know what? Go on and live. Let's continue to fight the good fight, because again, as a woman, this is not for me what I do, but I believe for such a time as this, that God has set me in this place in Allendale to be a light. And that's what I'm going to be until he moves me from this place, So